Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to my Friday tarot chat, everyone. And today I'm going to be sharing with you lots and lots of decks. I have an abundance of tarot as well as oracle and a few Lenormand as well too that I'm going to be sharing with you. I really need to tidy up my library, and there's just a lot of decks that I'm not using, so I'm going to be passing those on. Some of these you have seen before in previous cullings, and there's quite a few ones that I haven't shared with you. So, and some really, really special ones too. So I look forward to showing you all of this. And I also want to say that I started a new adventure on Wednesday. And that is in my Facebook group. I started doing, I did it on YouTube as well too, but it's going to just be an exclusive that I do in my Facebook group on Wednesday nights at 6. And that is reading with Ray Hepburn's tea leaf cards. And this is a whole new can of worms. So as many of you know, I read Lenormand, and of course oracle and tarot, and I've for years wanted to learn how to read tea leaves, and actually took some tea leaf reading classes, and around that time purchased these cards. I thought it might help me with my study. Completely abandoned the whole thing, and so I've decided I'm going to come back to this. So perhaps I will be a future Tasseographer. Looking forward to that. Welcome. Hi, everybody. Saskia, Annie. Hello, Fernanda, Donna, Sharon. Lovely to have you all here. Hello, Tarot Geek. Welcome. I just need to get my list open as well, too, so I can greet you all as you come in. And, is that Gergana? Welcome. Let me just open my list. And I'll have everybody's names at the tips of my fingers. So for those of you that are new, my name is Sadhana, and I am a reader, a teacher of tarot. And there's nothing more fun for me than just to kind of sit around and talk about decks and cards and how they have been a part of my life, my practice. Okay, so Tarot Geek. I don't know, Dana, I'm sorry. I don't know why your name wasn't at the tip of my fingers. So welcome to you. Hi, Dee. Lovely to have you all here. So let's get right into it. Also, I want to say that if anybody has been contemplating signing up for one of my programs, I do have a sale on now. We have a solar eclipse tomorrow, so I've had a sale on most of the week. And if you're interested in booking a reading or coaching, this is a good time to do it. So I'm offering 20% off on everything that's in my shop. So if you want to go and have a look at that, that is a great deal. Okay, so 4 Lenormands that I am clearing. And I did a big clearing of my Lenormands not too long ago. And these 4 are still here. So we have 2 mass market and 2 indie decks. This is a really cute one, very contemporary, not old school at all, called the Pink Sugar Lenormand. Many of you may know Logan. Apparently he's got quite a following. Logan Townsend, wonderful box, high quality production. Haven't used it at all, and I'm going to start turning over cards. This is an old favorite. This is, what is this called? Under the Roses Lenormand. All of the extra cards, by the way, are in the packs. All of the little white books are there. And this one I bought at the recommendation of Kelly Fitzgerald some years ago. And it's a great little deck for placing mini decks on top of if you're doing reading with all 36 cards. And then you can see the houses and use these for the house assignments if you don't have one of those lovely sheets that has all the houses on it. So yeah, and this is a first edition of Celia Millsville's Tanis Lenormand. And it is a cute little deck. Looks a little bit like the Dreaming Way Lenormand. And this enormous one over here is the Art Nouveau. This is a mass market deck. and it has people in pretty much every in every card. So I'll show you a few cards from each of these decks. Hello to Witchy Wallflower. Kim, welcome. So this is the Art Nouveau Lenormand. You may recognize this deck. I believe I've surrounded myself in boxes. You will find, this is a Low Scarabeo deck. I believe there are matching oracles and tarots for this deck too. So it's really, really pretty. It's large. So this is a great one for 3-card readings. And I would say this is not a beginner's deck. Sometimes the people get in the way. Welcome, Tamian. Hello to you. And Kenton's here. Hi, Kenton. So it's a very pretty deck. And honestly, I find with 3-card readings, Clevis is here too. Lovely to have you here. With 3-card readings, I enjoy having big cards if I'm doing a quick, small Lenormand reading. Okay, so there's that one. And this little Lenormand, it is not a mini. I would say this is a standard size. Sorry, people. You have to zoom in for Lenormand, but it's not working. Why? Maybe I'm zoomed in all the way. There we go. That is really zoomed in. Honestly, people. How many years have I been on YouTube? I still really need an assistant. Not a mini, just a standard size Lenormand. It's kind of cute. If you like cute, you like this deck. It looks very different from some different other artwork of Celia Melsville. She's in France. This is a wonderful deck creator. I've had many of her decks. And she has the playing card associations as well as you can clearly see the numbers on the cards. So yeah, that's the Tanis Lenormand. And if you have any questions about any of these decks, let me know and I'll see if I can answer them for you. Now, this particular Lenormand had quite a few changes to it, and since I did my Lenormand series, I really feel like I've become even more old school than I was, and I'm I don't know, how can I say this? I just really enjoy reading Lenormand with classic imagery, and this one just had too much contemporary imagery, and I think I bought it for the pink and gold because it is so pretty. You can see there's a person card, a couple of person cards, and the changes, while I understand them, it just wasn't resonating with me. But this is a super high production work. If you like a more contemporary Lenormand, this is really beautiful. Warrior Girl Casey, hello. I'm going to attempt to put decks away as I work here. I thought I was super organized, but maybe not so much. Okay. Even if I get a third of them put away, that's great. So yeah, so this is the Pink Sugar Lenormand by Logan Townsend. And it is, yeah, it's kind of pretty. And then I'm sure most of you know this one, that read Lenormand. Under the Roses. This is a great beginner deck. And it's a great second deck to have, like I said, if you don't have. So I don't have one of those little house charts to lay down on the table. I just sort of took the time to memorize how the houses are, and whether you lay out your Lenormand 9 by 4, or you can do the math, 8 by 36 cards, right? So this is embarrassing. I can't do my math. 9 times 4 is 36. Or the other way. So then you have 4 at the bottom. This is a great flexible little deck to have underneath, so you can place your mini deck on top. Yeah. The only card, here's one, the whip. So, of course, the whip has other connotations other than sexual connotations, but it's pictured that way in this deck. Yeah. So that is Under the Roses. And I thought, I haven't showed this for a little while on my channel, so I thought I would show you this little trick in case you don't know it. So a lot of people have a hard time putting the little white book and all the cards away into a box. And so here you can see I have I don't know if you can see, I have the extra cards and then the little white book. And when I'm putting cards away in a deck, I look down at the bottom to see where the flap is. Let's see. Can you see where the flap is on the bottom? And then I lay the book or the cards on the side where the flap is on the bottom. So it's on this side. So I'm going to lay this against that flap, and then if you take the cards and kind of move them in this sort of a shape, they will all just slide in and nothing will get caught on the bottom. And this works really well, even, so this is quite tight. It's so much easier to put away decks in a tuck box if you do that. I don't tend to keep my little white books in the box, but if you do, that little trick is really helpful. Yeah. Okay, welcome to Ro. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And you know, it's really interesting. I've had some fantastic feedback since Tuesday. Yeah, it's funny because I did some very intense readings on Tuesday, and I'm surprised I've never had so many emails and people messaging me on Facebook about their readings on Tuesday. So I'm really glad that intensity was supportive of where you all are. So Tuesday was 1010, the 1010 portal, and I was really focusing on the energy of 1010 as an awakening and opening up, a preparation for tomorrow, which is the solar eclipse. And I heard something really interesting this morning on Molly McCord, and she was saying that the solar eclipse, it will last for 5 minutes. There's a really good video of hers that came out today where she has a map of the solar eclipse, and you can see the intensity and where the solar eclipse travels. And she was saying that each minute of the solar eclipse has an effect of 1 year. And so this is an immensely powerful eclipse that will likely last for several years. Yeah. Welcome. Hello, Perry. Lydianne. Aloha, Jonathan. Okay, so oracles. I've got just a few oracles, and then we'll get to the tarot decks. Okay, so Rebecca Lefebvre, apparently these decks are no longer available, any of her decks. and I'm sorry, I have lots of bright light coming in through my window. She created a deck called For Children. And this particular one, Flora Friends, I have multiple copies. I actually bought these for teacher gifts, and they were hidden and never got handed out as teacher gifts. I no longer have anybody in elementary school. I thought these would make wonderful prompts for creative writing, for school, for journaling. And in the Flora deck, so all you have in the kids pack, the Flora Friends, the junior deck, is the name of the flower and a single keyword. And these are rose petal finish. They're really beautiful. You could also use these as, in gifts, if you put cards in gifts as you pack them. Yeah, so I have 2 copies of this. One is still in the cello, and they're in really good condition. And then I also have 1 copy of the junior deck for the junior animal deck as well, too. And of course, I still have her other decks, as well as her mini decks. And I just thought, if I was teaching elementary school, I think it'd be really wonderful to have something like this for creative writing prompts or journaling prompts, something like that. Yes, avec la vie. Avec la vie, you are right. aveclavie.com. And she's going in a different direction, and I believe there is a sale on many of her decks, but these junior decks have been out of print for some time. Yeah. So yeah, and they're very high quality cards. They do not come in a box or a bag, and the ones that are open, I've put in I've got an abundance of Usi bags, so I've put them in there. Yeah. Now this one, I thought I would use this deck, but I'm not. This is a chakra deck. This particular one, this is the Sacred Mysteries Chakra Oracle. The guidebook is quite excellent. So if you are fairly new to the chakras, I think this deck is has an abundance, the guidebook has an abundance of information. So I feel that a lot of chakra work that is done these days, there's a real Western sort of bent on the way that people learn the chakras. And I think this is a really good introduction to more of an Eastern viewpoint of the chakras. Yeah, and so this course that I'm presently teaching, it will be available permanently in my store, is a revival of a course that I taught, Tarot Through the Chakras 1 and Tarot Through the Chakras 2. And it's available now, and I've 1 episode is up in the playlist, and once it's all recorded, it will always be there as an unlisted playlist for purchase. So yeah, so this is I think it's really important, if you've never had an Eastern look at the chakras and just sort of have this idea that they're the colors of the rainbow, and I don't know. It's definitely worth diving a little more into this energy. And while not everything in this deck is in alignment with how I view or teach the chakras, I think it's an excellent resource, much better than some other ones that are out there. Yeah. Deja Osborne, whose website is Deja Drew It. She has some really interesting decks, and this is the first edition of the personal power, personal power. Is that what it's called? No. This is the self-care deck. Sorry. My quality time self-care. And I don't know if this is available anymore. The second edition and or the third edition. Sorry about that. Is edged, and this one is not. So this is the first edition. It shuffles beautifully. It's lovely cardstock. I have kept her other. I have one other deck of hers. I think it's called Personal Power. This one is my quality self care. Isn't that a beautiful card? I mean, you could just, some of these, it's just gorgeous. And if you buy this deck, I have a, I don't know if it's a painting or a postcard that I got with this one. I'll unearth that and send it to you. It's really beautiful. And if I forget and you buy it, I will mail it to you. I will mail it separately. Yeah. So yeah, that is Deja Osborne's offering. That is for sale. All right, now, how many of you know Wasima? Wasima Magic, I believe, is the name of her channel. She is also, I think we connected through our interest in shamanism. And I remember sharing time with her, and she opened the directions and I closed the directions, and we had a lovely session. We've had a few interactions, and Wasima, I'll get the guidebook so you can see her name if it's on here. Sorry, her website is coremagic.com. This is the Nest of Light Oracle. And this reminds me a little bit of the deck that I just showed you. It's really different. This one has little tiny rounded corners, and it's a lovely finish on the cards. Another high quality cardstock. The colors are beautiful. There is a lot of wonderful offerings. So if you're in the EU, there's lots of great offerings on her website. I would definitely check it out. Wasima starts with an OU. She also has quite a few offerings on Facebook. She's a lovely soul. I believe is she in Spain? Wasima Tuaria. Her last name is spelled Touahria. That's a nice card, isn't it? And there, of course, there's descriptions there's a larger guidebook that goes with them. The Wand of Power. Portugal? Thank you for that, Saskia. Yeah. This deck I used a little bit when I was, I did a bit of a sadhana with the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, I have a couple of times. And I did this, I used this with my card pulls when I was studying the Bhagavad Gita. And this is the Gita deck. And there's artwork, keyword on the front, and on the back of each card you have a translation of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. So this is a great study deck if you are... I have quite a few translations of the Bhagavad Gita, and I like to look at different translations to try to get the gist of the verses. Yeah, so this is certainly not for everyone. This is not really, I wouldn't consider this an oracle deck. I suppose you could use it that way. It might be a beautiful deck to, if you had a yoga room, a yoga studio, to have in the, like on the altar, so your students could pull a card after class and stuff like that. That would be lovely. Yeah, I wish I was teaching in a public studio. That's something I really miss. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Donna knows this deck. Okay, so that is the Gita deck. And this one is one that Sandra made me do it. My goodness, I haven't been on with the UK crowd in a long time. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of boxes, and I guess maybe that's not going to happen. Sandra, UK, friend of Simon's. She made me get this one. This is called Oracle of the Hidden Worlds. The guidebook is by Lucy Cavendish, and it has horizontal and vertical cards, and it's just really magical. It's very magical. So why am I getting rid of it? Because I have so many decks, and I really need to pare down the size of my library. And once this group of decks is gone, then I will do this again. And I'm going to continue to do this. This is a very sacred deck. Very sacred. So here's an example of one of the horizontal cards. The Green Man. That deck is called Oracle of the Hidden Worlds by Lucy Cavendish. Now, I just was going through a drawer. Believe me, I have decks in a lot of different places in my house. And I don't even think this, I think this was used once, maybe twice. I gifted this deck to one of my daughters, and they didn't like it. This is the Earth Power Oracle by Stacy DeMarco, and these cards are brand new, never been shuffled. I have my own copy of this deck, and I love this deck. I use it in, what do you call it? Like multi-deck past life readings. I love to have a deck that takes us to different parts of the world, because I think that can help people in their past life readings to get a place to land. People are often looking for locations. The other beautiful thing about this deck is that Stacy talks about the energy of each of these places, the frequency. And this would be if you want to buy my decks, you can just email me. Sorry, you can message me on Facebook if you're not in my group. And then I should have a banner for my email. Just one second. It's just info at my website. Where is my website? Integrative healing with Sadhana.com. That's my email, info. So there's my website, not -shop. So you would email info at integrativehealingwithsadhana.com. Okay? Yeah. All of the decks have guidebooks. If there's extra cards, they're back in the boxes. They are all well taken care of. Okay. And then is that all the oracles? I think that's all the oracles. So now we can go to the tarots. Yay, that's what you're here for. And this is going to get kind of... All right, so look what I found. This has never been opened. The last Jonasa Jaus Tarot, 4th edition. So that is in the Sharpie of the creator of the Jonasa Jaus Tarot. This is how she sent it to me. And as you know, I have a copy of this deck and I loved it so much. I bought a backup copy and I have never opened the box. I should have got the Jonasa Jaus Tarot out. So you're not going to see any cards here. And there's a couple of postcards in the box from her as well too. So this is the very last copy of the Jonasa Jaus Tarot. Never touched. Honestly, I don't know why sometimes I buy backup copies. I don't really need a backup copy. Who cares if the deck gets worn and... yeah. Time to simplify. So that's one tarot. And then here is another one I have never opened. Never opened. And I did take it out of the paper. And honestly, I don't know if these extra cards are from a different Patrick Valenza deck. So I do have the Trionfi della Luna, but this particular deck is the Patrick Valenza. This is the Paradoxical, but it's the original Paradoxical. And it's still in the plastic wrap. And so, yeah, so this is, I am releasing this. Yeah. I think when Patrick first came out with this deck, there was a deal on, you know, if you buy multiple decks. So I will be using the Paradoxical. So do you know, next year I'm going to do a year of Pip decks and Marseille decks exclusively. That's my intention. And I do have a copy of the Paradoxical. No, I have a copy of the Trionfi della Luna, but I'm releasing the Paradoxical version. Yeah, and this one is in English. It's not in Italian. Okay. All right. What other special things do I have for you? I have These large 5x7 cards. This is from the first edition of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot by Melissa Wotherspoon. I like this deck. Friends, I just have too many decks. I really do. Just too many. And so this deck comes with all of these 5x7 cards, a magnet, and the first edition of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. If you don't know this deck, this is a curated deck, the art of Odilon Redon. Is that right? Probably not pronouncing the name right either. And it is moody and beautiful. And so there's a few versions of this deck. This is the first edition. And the extra cards, of course, they're in here. And this is not edged, guidebook, extra cards, it's all there. I may regret selling this, but yeah, need to pare down. It is a wonderful reader. It's a wonderful intuitive reader. It's moody. It's very moody, and I have a few art decks, and there's a certain energy to them that, yeah, this is such a stunning deck. And so each of the editions of this deck, that's the inside of the box, are slightly different. Oh, you're going to do my series, are you? Yeah. I did a, when was that? Was that the year before last? I did a series, a Lenormand series. Yeah. Okay. This Baba deck I am selling. This is the Fantastic Menagerie. This is also a curated deck, the art of J.J. Granville. You know what? There was a movie. Where J.J. Granville was present in an art group that I saw not too long ago, and so this deck comes with the extra book, little white book. I haven't really used this deck, and it's kind of beautiful. This one does have cold stamping. And if you have never read a guidebook by Karen Mahoney, Karen Mahoney is, I want to say, the heart behind the Baba Studios. Karen writes the most fantastic guidebooks. The way that she, so for example, oh, you can't see. Let me just tell you. Of course, she explains why they used this particular art for the card, but she gets into the mood of the history of J.J. Granville, and it really brings this deck to life. If you are a bit of an art historian, this might be a book and therefore a deck that really appeals to you. Yeah. Kind of special. Now, I am missing a lot of the paraphernalia that I have for this, but if you purchase this one, I will be releasing all of the stickers. I have a original watercolor 8.5 by 11 painting of Dame Darcy's that was sent with this. So this is the original version, the Kickstarter version. And some of the stickers are in the box. And the little blue guidebook. I love this box. It's so clever. And this deck is still available. You can buy it new. Still available. There is a little ding on the box right there. You know, sometimes even deck creators, and I have endeavored to, all the extra cards are there. And I have to tell you one thing about this deck. So in the initial run of this deck, the Four of Wands, I believe this is the card, was missing. And so there had to be another, like a printing of the Four of Wands card. And then Dame Darcy sent us all the Four of Wands card later on. Unfortunately, the Four of Wands is not, it's not exactly the same size. You can see how it stands out there. It's slightly different. So if you are one of those people who finds value in misprints and unusual things, the first edition of the Queen Alice Tarot is one of those situations. Yeah. Sometimes it makes them more of a collectible. Okay, I have a lot of mass market decks. So I tried to clear out, I had a whole shelf of these large boxes, and I'm clearing them out. I've worked with these decks a lot. I have, I'm going to have to reduce the cost of the Otherkin. There's a little bit of damage on the box here. So these two decks of Ciolos I am releasing. If you've never seen these decks, below in the description box, there is a video that I did, a side-by-side of these two decks, and you can watch that. So those are going. I have, let me see if I can back up here. Art Nouveau is still on the table. I have never used this deck. I purchased this deck because I have the 3 sets of the Oracle of Oddities. And my intention was to use this deck with the Oracle of Oddities, and I never did. So this is, I believe this deck has come out in a few different iterations, maybe even with different titles. And there's a couple cool things about this guidebook. It's one of those guidebooks where you can take the book and actually read the book because you have color version of the cards. And the only thing that this deck really doesn't include is a reason for the flower choice. I find with Claire's decks, you have to do a bit of guessing sometimes if you don't know the plants and the particular plants that are matched with the particular bones or organs. And it's kind of a fun deck, actually. Suit of Blades. These are like new cards. I don't know why they are, it's funny. Oh, they're antiqued, I guess. It's called Antique Anatomy. This is the Emperor card. So the right femur, the right thigh bone, I guess the quadriceps, big muscle, active right side. So if you sit with these cards, you can figure out why that particular muscle or that particular organ or that particular bone is featured in the deck. If you like nerding out on body parts, it's fun. It is really fun. And I will never be releasing Oracle of Oddities. But it kind of takes the place of this. And the cup suit is elixirs, and this is fun. The messages on the bottles are really fun. And again, it's like a little bit of a game to figure out why these. So this is the elixirs, and this is the number 6. I need to turn this. I'm sorry, it's upside down for me. Anyway, you can read it. Especially if you know your plants and your herbs, and you're a bit of a, not necessarily herbologist, but you have an interest in this. It's very fun. I think that it could have been, the guidebook could have been developed a little bit more. But if you know a little bit about plant medicine and, sometimes I pull out the Oracle of Oddities when I'm doing a yoga teacher training or a special yoga workshop, or even with Reiki students. So when I'm teaching Reiki, I like to have these decks around then. Okay. Now I will attempt to show this. I backed the Kickstarter for the Sefirot Tarot, and this is a game. This is a game, and it comes with a lot of stuff, including a magnificent reading cloth, I believe. And this big book shows the how the artwork came together for the deck. It is a beautiful hardcover book. And then the game, if you play, it's an enormous box. An enormous box. And in this box is the game board as well as 2 tarot decks. So there is the little cards that you can use on the game board. Let's see. I have done, so down below there is a whole unboxing of this. The game board, which is folded in 3 or 4 pieces, so big game board. Envelope of lots of extra stuff, including lots of stickers. So in here are 2 large and small cards, and they're just like you saw in that book, glossy pins, reading cloth. This is a really big reading cloth. It's lovely. I've folded it up here. So yeah, it's a great kit. And have a look at the video that's down below if you're interested in something like this. Since I did that video, there is more information on how to play the game online. So at the time of filming the video, one of my problems was I didn't have enough instructions on playing the game. But now I believe there's more of that out there. And sorry again, this company is also releasing more product, so easier to get in touch with. Big package. Okay. Check, 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 check. This might surprise some of you. In going through my library, I decided I'm going to release the Slow Tarot. And this deck, I said I was going to do a deep dive, but I just have too many decks that are on my list for a deep dive. And presently this deck is not in print. So this is 577. The little brown book is in here. And I suppose that if you call it damage, I have edged the cards in brown. So for some people, you may like that, and other people not so much. And honestly, this deck, if it weren't for the suit of coins, and I love this card, the 5 of coins is very stunning. This is a bird's eye view of somebody begging. And actually, you know, when I look, oh, well, I guess so, but now that I look at this, I see something else. One of the things I love about this deck is every time you look at the cards, you see something else in them. And there's a few cards in this deck where I spent days researching some of the symbols in the card. And when I first got, there's a walkthrough of this deck on my channel where I talk more about some of the specific cards. Let's see if I can find one for you. And the aces are borderless, which is really unusual. And so the king, I believe it's the King of Wands, is one, where there is a mosaic mask. Oh, and this is another one. This is so clever. So this particular mythological creature is a hippocampus. And so this is a play on the mythological creature, the hippocampus, and the hippocampus in the brain as the Knight of Water. And there's just some really clever, there's a lot of cleverness in this deck. Yeah. A lot of cleverness. The Chariot, I love the Chariot card in this deck. The Devil, very controversial card. However, you should know that the model for this card is a person who completely embraces their lifestyle. And I did speak to this card in my Slow Tarot video. Yeah, so that is the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. Yeah. Okay. All right. So again, if you are interested in any of these decks, please email me and I will package them up and send them to you. There's a few more. Don't go away yet. In Canada, we have prepaid boxes that are a great deal. And also know that postage to the US is generally cheaper than it is within Canada. So don't worry about that. And it doesn't matter whether it is continental US or not. For some reason, the Canadian government finds it cheaper to send things to the US than it is within our own country, which is just kind of funny. I'm ruthless today. Donna, I need space. I need space. I really do. I can't have so much stuff. I've really stopped my buying, and I'm quite embarrassed. I have a couple of old Kickstarters, not old, but Kickstarters that are yet to come in, and all right. So unfortunately, this is the Botanica beautiful metal box. And there is a reading cloth that came with this that I loved. Love. So here's, what's this? This is, put this on your Christmas tree. Tarot bag, hardcover book. This is also still available. You can still buy this in a few different versions. Badge, stickers, cards, little white book. I mean, there's so much stuff in here. Pins, extra cards, extra postcards. This is the box that is the cards themselves. And I have been scouring my house looking for the reading cloth, and I don't know where it is. And you know what? If you buy this and I find it later, I will mail it to you if I ever find it. But the only thing I don't have for the Botanica is the reading cloth. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do misplace things. What is Sharon saying here? I gave a bag of 20 decks to a friend for her to choose from. I've scaled back on my purchase significantly. Purchases. I think we go through these periods of great excitement in acquiring decks, and it just gets to be too much. It's just too much. Okay. All right. So AlcheMystical Tarot is a 5-suit tarot deck. It's the top of the list. I did a walkthrough of this. It looks a little bit like Star Child, Moon Child, that kind of collage artwork. 5 suits, very interesting deck. Very interesting. So please watch the video there if you're interested and you like that kind of Moonchild, Star Child artwork. Paulina Cassidy, this deck is going bye-bye. I believe, unfortunately, there are highlights in this guidebook. There are. Okay, so what did I write here? There's even some handwriting. I wrote Krishna/Vishnu, Phoenix rising from ashes. So there is some personalization in this guidebook. I try not to do that anymore, but I did. And I had quite a collection of decks that I purchased because I had some young clients. Believe it or not, I was working with an 11-year-old girl for quite a period of time. She was very intuitive. She was early in her awareness and development of her mediumship. And I purchased a whole slew of decks to work with for her, and this was one of them. Hush Tarot. There is a link below. I did 13, 14 videos with this deck, and including some readings, live readings with Orshi. And while I learned a lot through that series of videos, hi Richie, I don't think I will ever work with this deck. I came to make peace with it, let's say that, but it's not one that I would ever work with Yeah. So there was was it a Kickstarter? There was a pre-sale for the Cosma visions, Prisma visions, and Light visions in a tin. And I purchased all 3 of them. And I already sold my Kickstarter version of the Cosma visions. And really, I should keep the whole set together. Again, if you look in the description box below, there is a video where, these are beautiful. There's a video where I did a side-by-side of all 3 mini decks. Let me turn these the right way. Oh, that crow card is just beautiful. And for a number of reasons, it's highly, the only reason that I would keep, and I have so many though, so I sometimes I do past life readings. And these cards definitely have that sort of vibe. But there is one suit in this deck that I just cannot work with. Look at that beautiful Phoenix card. And so this deck is an oracle and a tarot. So there's a video that I did just on this deck on my channel. It was called Cosma, Visions, Oracle, or Tarot. And then I did side-by-side of all 3 decks. So there's lots of things to look at in regards to this one. Okay. A while back, I purchased the AlcheMystical Tarot. That deck that was, I don't know, it's got something like 200 cards in it. And this was curated from many, many artists put together, and they were all reformatted to be the same size, which must have been a huge undertaking. As well, some of the cards were slightly changed. And the guidebook, that was a massive production, that AlcheMystical Tarot. Anyway, AlcheMystical made me do it. In the journey of working with the AlcheMystical, there were several decks that I purchased, and I did a video called AlcheMystical Made Me Do It, and this is one of them. This is a very colorful, bizarre little deck called Tarot de El Dios de los Tres, and the creator of this deck is a graphic artist, so illustrates in magazines and comics, and does a lot of you can Google him, El Dios de los Tres. I believe that's his art handle. And in this deck, this is a Fournier deck, so it's a slightly unusual size, and I put the little guidebook in the center here. I hate to unpack this, but I will, just for you. These are the card backs. It's a very bizarre little deck, and honestly, I would love to take the time to figure it out. But the truth is, I don't have time. I don't have time. And I'm just looking at this Dharma doll, and it just makes me want to figure it out. There's all kinds of weird and bizarre iconography on this card, and it would be really fun to sit with this deck and spend a day or more with every single card and try to figure all that was going on here. Yeah. I really do love the mix. So yeah, so this is a really interesting, and of course, I bought this deck for one card, and the one card was not even in this deck because Alleyman, Dane, what's his name? Seven Dane. Let's just call him Mr. Alleyman. He reformatted the card, and so it looks different in the Alleyman than it does in this deck. And so, yeah, this is the... And you know what? I have a lot of bizarre decks that I need to figure out. I have the Ritual Tarot that I haven't gone through. I have the Tiger Tarot. There's a lot of work that Sadhana needs to do. And so that's why some of these decks are going bye-bye. There's three more. This was a Kasha. Kasha made me do it. This was somebody else made me do it. And this one was actually a gift, and I will never use it. If somebody would use it, this is actually still available on Game Crafter. It is the animals and the nature of New Zealand, and this is a gift from Anna, and I've never used it. And if anybody would use it, here, I'll show you. I'll show you each of these just briefly. I don't think I will purchase any more animal decks ever. I don't tend to use them. I'll keep the Brady Tarot, and I use my Wild Unknown. And this is a poker size deck. So yeah, if anybody thinks they would use it, let me know. Okay, Jonathan, do you mind sending me an email? Okay. So, Kasha? What's Kasha's channel name? Tarot Map. And I was thinking maybe I should keep this one because of the fact that I'm, doing a PIP year, but again, I have too many PIP decks. One of the things in this deck is the use of color. So the use of color is very limited. So sometimes it matches with the major arcana to the minor arcana, sometimes not. So the Hierophant generally is seen as the element of earth, not air. So most of the yellow cards are, let's see, where does it work? The deck is color-coded in a way, for the most part, but not necessarily in a way that, I don't know. It's very simple. It's kind of a cool idea. Now, there are a lot of, there's a few decks out there called Essential Tarot, and this is the Essential Tarot by Pablo. Is this Los Carabel? I think it is. By Pablo Monti. And it's a really simple deck. You'll recognize familiar iconography. Everything is in a window. But again, never used it. Never used it. All right, Donna, what are you saying, dear? For some reason, the Wild Unknown doesn't feel like an animal deck to me in the usual sense. Yeah, in that it's a little bit different, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right, here is some news. Did you know this deck is coming out as a borderless deck? And if you want this version of the deck, this is the old version of the deck that has borders. Pardon me. So if you have thought about getting this deck and you want it with borders, you won't be able to get it with borders anymore, because now it is borderless. This is it's kind of like a Fae deck. It's kind of like it's kind of like an Alice in Wonderland sort of deck where you go into this mysterious, it's called Tarot of the Moon Garden. And I thought I would use it, but I just haven't used it. So, it's kind of, hi Dryad, did I say hello to you? Welcome. Yeah. So I believe that is it. And like I said, when this batch of decks, or most of them, move out of my home, then I will be doing this again. Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And my list of decks that I have intentions to do a deep dive with it's so long, and I have so many requests. I mean, people want a deep dive on the Osho Zen, and my next project is a deep dive. I'm going to tell you something really funny. Oh my God, this is so funny. So I'm going to do a public deep dive with the Tildwick. This is the 2nd edition. I did bite the bullet and I bought the 10th anniversary edition because the 10th anniversary edition comes with a guidebook. Well, that is hilarious. I want to show you something. This is the guidebook. I don't know what size font this is. It's like a 4. And I have been looking at this with a light and a magnifying glass. And I'm really enjoying reading it. But it is, I've never seen anything. The beginning is okay. I can read it, where they have the history of Neil on this project. I can read this. This is probably an 8 font. But the font that is in the rest of the book is so tiny, it's not legible to the human eye. My 16-year-old daughter was able to read it, but so Tildwick is not for sale. Tildwick is my next deep dive. My point was that I have so many decks yet to explore and do deep dives with. I have so many things that I want to share. I do have a magnifying glass, and it has a light. Yeah. And that's how I've been reading it. So I'm hoping that Neil will put out a PDF. He has sorry, not Neil, Neil's brother. The creator of this deck has crossed over, and his brother is doing the production now. And I'm hoping that a PDF will be available, because that would be much more legible, even though I don't like reading on the screen. Yeah. I need to get out my jewelry lens to read that book. Yes, you would need to do that. Exactly. Okay. So, thank you. And if you do end up taking one of these decks, just know that it really supports me in my journey. And thank you. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. And I hope the intensity tomorrow isn't, too much for any of you. And like I said, if you've been thinking about taking a course with me, I'm actually really excited. I've taught Tarot Foundations 1 many times. And now I'm putting together the final version. And this is, I'm kind of proud. I'm kind of proud of this course. And there is so much paperwork that goes with this, so much information. And I'm not sure what week we are in right now, but eventually the package, the 22-week package, will be complete. And I may even print it with Lulu or something like that, or have it available for print with Lulu. So yeah. So blessings for the new moon in Libra and the eclipse, and I look forward to seeing you soon. It's been great having you here today. Yes, Dee, I agree with you. I agree. Okay. Bye, everyone. Take good care. Namaste.